Welcome back, everyone, and get ready for another episode of the New Motorcycle Riders Podcast, where we dive deep into all things motorcycle related. But before we start, hit that subscribe and notification button to stay on top of our latest podcast topics and discussions. We upload new podcasts weekly, and it doesn't cost you anything to join in. Plus, it really helps us to reach out to more motorcyclists. Also, if you have a motorcycle-related topic that you would like to hear discussed on our podcast, please send me a message to Andrew at newmotorcycleriders.com and let's make that happen. Again, thank you for joining us on our podcast, and please leave us a comment below. Also, don't forget to check out our new book, New Motorcycle Riders, Motorcycling for Beginners. It's available at Amazon and at your major bookstores. Now, before I start today's podcast, let me throw out some disclaimers. If you're sensitive, turn this podcast off. But if you want the truth, then continue. I recently heard someone say that they had dropped their motorcycle 4 times in a short period of time, but none of these falls or drops were their fault. From there, they went on with this laundry list of all the reasons why it wasn't their fault. I mean, this person said a car dropped a spot of fluid on the road that they couldn't avoid. There was some carcass from an animal on the road. There was a little bit of gravel on the road. I mean, they just went on and on and on. But they were proud about one thing. They were able to pick up their bike by themselves. Wow. Contrary to popular belief, dropping a motorcycle is not mandatory. The fact is, not every motorcycle rider will drop or go down on their motorcycle. The tools and training material available to riders today wasn't available years ago, so it's no wonder why so many people went down then. More than likely, the people who are saying this stuff are probably either older riders, or there may be younger riders who never learned properly, and they were just making mistakes that they didn't have to make. Now, by this time my brain is shut off because I had heard enough. You see, I was that guy early on in my riding days. I had an excuse for everything. Took no responsibility for any mistakes. It took someone to take all of the excuses away from me to make me realize the true problem. Me. Every excuse this person said came down to one thing. Lack of defensive riding and awareness. When you ride, you need to know your outs and what's ahead. I'm willing to bet this person may have been following a vehicle too closely and didn't see what was on the road until the vehicle in front of them rode over it. Maybe they weren't looking ahead at the road to see what was there and didn't have time to respond before hitting it. They could have panic braked when they saw the object and either slid or washed out with the front brake. I don't know because I wasn't there. But I believe I have a pretty good idea of what may have happened. If you're learning how to ride, more than likely you're not alone. So don't put a bunch of emphasis on learning how to pick up your bike right now. Instead, let's focus on not doing the things that can lead to you dropping it in the first place. Now, I know there are some people out there fuming that I'm saying this, but dropping your motorcycle is not only dangerous, it's expensive too. We're not even talking about the downtime if you break something major. Our new book, Motorcycling for Beginners, covers these things, and if it can prevent you from dropping your bike just one time, it will have more than paid for itself. Well, that's going to do it for today's podcast, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. Please leave a comment below about the episode or anything you thought that we may have missed. Also, contact me at Andrew at newmotorcycleriders.com if there's something in particular you would like to hear discussed on our podcast. As always, be safe and enjoy your ride.